15 things you should never do in US. The land of the free and land of opportunity, the United States of America is considered to have the largest economy, and the most powerful military in the world. Though it may be harder to gain entry for some countries to the US nowadays, it still gets visited by millions of tourists each year wanting to experience New York, Hollywood in Los Angeles, and other landmarks and recreation areas the country is known for. There's no doubt that you can do a lot of things in the US, and even if it's called the land of the free, like other countries, there are still some things that you need to avoid doing to make your stay more memorable in a good way. Number 1. Don't do these when pulled over by the police. Since you will most likely spend some time driving or riding a car while visiting, you need to be aware of what you don't want to do in the event that you get stopped by the police for whatever reason. Do not make sudden movements and keep your hands visible by placing them on the steering wheel. Don't argue with the officer and make sure to address them properly by saying sir or ma'am. These things could save you a lot of trouble. Number 2. Do not use the N-word. You may hear African Americans or black people refer to or call each other the N-word, but don't make the mistake of using that word yourself, if you yourself are not black. The US has come a long way when it comes to racial prejudice, but it is still a current issue. Some may also think that saying African American is too limiting, as not all of them are, and instead prefer to be called Black Americans. Ideally, in the land of the free, they should just be referred to as people, regardless of skin color or ethnicity. Number 3. Don't joke around with terrorism. Don't joke around when it comes to terrorists or bombs, as these are no laughing matter, especially in the US. The country has changed a lot since the 9/11 terrorist attacks, forming the Department of Homeland Security, heightening security at its borders, and even banning some nationalities from entering the country. Never make any references to bombs or terrorist attacks in a crowded or public place, unless you want to test the mettle of America's resolve in the fight against terrorism. Number 4. Don't gawk or take pictures of the Pennsylvania Dutch. Referred to as America's plain people or the Pennsylvania Dutch, the Amish are a group of people who are known for living simple lives and even shunning technology. If you happen to encounter some of these folks, who can easily be distinguished by their clothing, which is usually white or black with no buttons or zippers, and instead uses pins or hook and eye closures to fasten them, don't take pictures of them, as photos are not allowed, for they believe that it cultivates vanity, which is against the teachings of their church. Number 5. Don't forget to leave a tip. Although tipping is said to be voluntary, tipping 15 to 20% is the custom when dining in a sit-down restaurant, where you have waiters serving particular tables. Don't scrimp or leave the restaurant without leaving a tip, if you don't want to hear an earful, or even get chased outside the restaurant, with the waiter asking why you didn't leave a tip. Waiters in the US earn below the minimum wage and heavily rely on tips to augment their income. Number 6. Do not use the metric system. The United States is the only industrialized nation among the 3 countries that are still using the British imperial system of measurement, instead of the widely used metric system. When visiting the country, try to be more familiar with miles, pounds, ounces, gallons or cups, while temperature is measured in degrees Fahrenheit instead of Celsius. Apparently, it's the cost and time-consuming process of changing the country's infrastructure that has held the US back from following suit with other countries. Number 7. Don't pump your own gas in New Jersey. Motorists and drivers are used to self-service gasoline pumps in the country, but if you're in New Jersey, you cannot personally pump the gas when stopping for some. Drivers have been banned from using the pumps in the Garden State since 1949, making it the only state in the country which employs people for this purpose. Number 8. Do not bring up your opinion on politics. Having an opinion about something, such as politics in the US, is perfectly fine, just as long as you keep it to yourself and not bring it up, especially in the presence of people that you don't know well. You never know what someone's affiliation is by their appearance or through casual conversation, so whether you approve of or have criticisms for the president, or anything else that has anything to do with the nation's policies, do not use it as a topic for conversation. Number 9. Don't think if taking pictures of costumed people in Times Square is free. With its bright lights and billboards and skyscrapers, Times Square is one of New York City's most popular tourist attractions. What you won't fail to notice are the scores of costumed people, dressed like Spider-Man or Wonder Woman or even the Statue of Liberty, littering the place and asking you to take pictures with them. Don't think that this is just their way of welcoming visitors, as these photo ops are not free, and failing to pay may result to you being harassed, as they can get quite aggressive when not paid. Number 10. Never wear all red or blue in California. If it's your first time in the US, it's likely that you will visit parts of California at some point, particularly Los Angeles. However, if you happen to find yourself in some areas that are not exactly tourist spots, like Hoover Street, never wear all red or all blue, as you might be mistaken for being associated with a gang, such as the Blood and the Crips. In addition, never wear a bandana in these areas, as you also might be mistaken for a gangbanger and get in trouble. Number 11. Don't do the Nazi salute. Never do the Nazi salute regardless where you're from, even if it's just for banter, as this will get you the attention that you surely won't like. This gesture is not something to joke about, as it is taken as the ultimate sign of racism and utter disrespect to the thousands of American soldiers who died fighting the Nazi regime, which was responsible for some of the most heinous acts in history. Number 12. Do not haggle when buying stuff. When doing your shopping in retail stores, do not haggle, as this is not the norm in the country. Bargaining insistently or pushing for a lower price is regarded as rude, dishonest, stingy, and even offensive, as salespeople in these stores are not allowed to give discounts and puts them in a situation where they cannot provide customer satisfaction. It is fine to ask if there's a discount or sale, but not to ask them to sell an item lower than advertised. Number 13. Don't take pictures of tall buildings or military installations. Tourists are expected to snap away at anything they find interesting, but don't take photos of military bases or installations, power plants, federal, and high-rise buildings, as it is possible to get in trouble for it. Doing so may raise some red flags on concerned people around, which may lead them to call the authorities to report you. Consequences may not just be limited to your photos getting confiscated, but you may also get fined or even land in jail, if not sent back home. Number 14. Don't get injured or sick without insurance. When traveling in the US, take good care of yourself and avoid getting injured or sick, especially if you don't have good health or travel insurance, as the cost for treatment in hospitals can be staggering. Not surprising, as one of the first questions a doctor will ask you here is what insurance you have. Accidents do happen, and if you are one of those unfortunate enough to be in one, having good insurance can get you reimbursed for the medical expenses. Number 15. Don't blow your horns. When you spend some time navigating the cities in the US, you will notice that people don't seem to use their horns when driving. Take this as a sign and never blow your horns unless it's absolutely necessary. In New York City, for example, blowing your horn unless you're in an emergency situation is not just rude, it's illegal and may cost you hundreds of dollars in fine.